Welcome back to Beyond the Track. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's a PM edition of Beyond the Track for us California boys. Robbie Wageman, what's up, bro?
What's happening? How are you?
It's good. It's late afternoon, early evening. The sun is down. You like my tree?
I love it.
This is another week with no presents under it. The kids, we haven't decided yet what's going on with them. They've been a little iffy. So as of now, there's no presents.
It's all right. We'll get there one day.
We'll get there one day. Hey, man, we got a lot to talk about. Pumped to have you on the show, but dude, I got to start with just present day. It's like, it's go time, right? It's time to start getting ready. I mean, you guys have probably been prepping for a while now, but we're getting close, man. How's the prep going?
It's going really good. Just taking it day by day, just trying to build every single day. And I'm actually living down at Grindstone compound right now with Carrie Shear and just trying something new this year, just a little bit better of a program with my, eating better and more days at the gym and stuff and cycling like that. So I'm actually seeing a lot of progress already. So I'm loving it. I'm having a great time and just trying to build and just be a little better than I was last year.
That's awesome. A lot of people, if iron strikes, dude, you could make a big leap, right? But for the most, you chip away at it. You find ways to get better. For me, It was always, single in on something that was missing or a thing or two. But for you, what is that? What are you chasing right now? If you want to get a little bit better, where do you think the weaknesses were?
Well, my main weakness is probably my starts. Those need to be a little better. And, I think all my, just my corners are a little weak. So if I can fix that, then I think we'll be in the right direction. So need to fix my cornering a little bit. I have a little stall like mid turn. So fix that and then get off to a better start.
Good starts, good corners, and then good whoops. I feel like if you got those three, and then if you can go the distance, you're good, bro. But hey, man, so last year, dude, had some great rides. Coming back this year, what's the program looking like? Obviously, you just said the off-season program, but in season, what's 2022 looking like?
I'm gonna do 250 West Coast with Team Solitaire Nuclear Blast again with Ryan Clark and the boys. So we're getting back going on the 250F now. I just got on the 250F about a week ago, so been grinding on the 450 previously before that. So we'll be back out there at 250 West Coast, and I'm pumped. Can't wait.
Right on. Hey, before we end this interview, we'll get back to 2022 and get some thoughts in, but I do want to cover just a bunch of things that you got going on. Let's zero in on the two-stroke. You're two-stroke killer, bro. You mentioned 250F. We take the F off. We go 250 two-stroke. And you've been shredding on those things for a long time, but I mean, what is it about those things that just is good for you? Because I mean, you're killing it on that bike.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I really don't know, to be honest. I'm a big two-stroke fan myself. I know some people don't like the noise, how it's loud, but I love them. I don't know, when I hop on them, I don't know. I don't know if it's the sound or something just pumps me up and I just have fun. So I don't know. I wish there was something I knew that was like, this is why I rip on the two-stroke.
Like why this works? Why do I shred on this?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I love them.
It might be the mood though, dude. Like you said, the sound of the bike. For me, a two-stroke, nothing sounds better. And they just make you want to ride harder and ring it out. So maybe it's just the mood. You hear that thing, and you're like, I'm gonna ring this sucker out, and then you do for a full lap, and then lap time you're good on it.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it is. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the noise and just want to keep it pinned, and I want to hear that thing. I don't know.
and then Glen Helen, dude. What's the deal with Glen Helen? Like you killed that play. I was just telling you, I've never had one good day there in my life, man. And I've been racing there since I was 5 years old. So what's it about Glen Helen?
I don't know. I love Glen Helen for some reason. Maybe I usually never ride anywhere besides Glen Helen, or we have a couple good hill spots and trail spots up by my house. So I either ride like hills or Glen Helen. And I feel like I'm always at Glen Helen. So I don't know. I feel like Glen Helen fits my riding style. I think like I like to flat track, and Glen Helen rarely gets ruts. I feel like if it rains, it'll have some ruts, but a lot of the times it's blue groove, flat track, throttle control. And I feel like I excel with that stuff. So
you and Kiefer, the kings of Glen Helen.
Yeah. And I like to go fast down the downhill. So
Oh, dude, I saw, man, it was the vet worlds. That was like, what, a few weeks back. And do you see that photo that was of that downhill?
Yeah, that looks,
And
I'm
everyone,
not gonna lie, I seen that and I got kind of scared myself, even though I wasn't even there. I was like, wow, that's terrifying.
well, you know, what's funny is I had someone hit me up and they're like, dude, why is it so much rougher on that day than like on the old nationals? And I said, well, look at those are braking bumps, and the vets start braking at the very top. They break the whole way down. So
Right,
the pros, you guys shred down, and then it's like the bottom third, right? But on vet
right.
day, it's like trump off the top, break all the
Breaking
way
up.
down.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So,
It's
dude,
weird, like it's weird though. Sometimes the hill will, like, I was just there for Day in the Dirt, and sometimes the hill gets really rough. Like Saturday was super rough. Today on Sunday it was not that rough at all. So it's really weird. You would think kind of like Mammoth, you know, you go to Mammoth every year and you know exactly where the bumps and potholes are going to be because they're in the same spot every year. And it's weird that like the downhill at Glen Helen doesn't do that.
Yeah, that is weird. I don't know if it's that maybe it's sandier, so it does have a little bit of diversity. You go to Mammoth though, and you're right. Like, dude, I remember the one back straight away with the tabletop before you do the berm right in front.
Yep.
Dude, every braking bump comes right back. It's almost like they just back drag it and then they come right back every time. I feel like the same rocks are in the same spot.
Same
too.
rocks, same bumps. Yep, same everything. Track
That's
never
funny,
changes.
dude. And that's some West Coast for you, dude. You go back east and you're not getting that, man. It's new
Right,
rut every lap. So
right, exactly.
hey, let's get into into your career. And I don't know much about your career prior to your pro career. So for me, this is learning as well. Kind of take me back to the beginning with you and your brother and just the start, I know where you guys come from. You come from a really cool spot, but
Yep.
just how it all got started, how you guys got going, and then we'll work our way through.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously growing up, my dad raced when he was younger. So, you know, once I came into the picture, I just grew up watching Supercross and from a very, very young age. And I just remember always wanting a dirt bike. And finally one Christmas I came downstairs and there was a PW50 there. And I remember me and my brother we didn't have a pool at the time. And we would just tear up the grass in the backyard every day. We'd go to school, come home, and we had those little black X Games ramps, and we'd set those up, jump those, and just destroy my parents' grass. We didn't really care. And just grew up riding as a family. And then, you know, moving forward and getting older and the 65s and stuff. And we would just go to school, and my dad would pull us out, and we'd go ride, go to the track in the afternoon. And it was weird. I didn't really even want to race, to be honest, at first. I just loved riding. And a lot of the times, like, we would go to at Glen Helen on every Saturday. They usually have the race called REM, like on the vet track.
Oh, yeah.
So my brother would go do that, and I just never wanted to race. I would go ride on the big track and have a great time. And then my dad would always try to get me to race, and I never would. And finally, one day, I was like, you know what? I think I want to race. And so it's a little weird when I was younger. I don't know why I didn't want to race. I just loved riding my dirt bike. That's it. And I remember my brother always wanted to go to Loretta Lynn's. And so he would be going to the areas and, you know, the regional and stuff. And my dad would like beg me. He was like, just go race, just have fun. So I remember I went and I ended up making it to Loretta's and my brother didn't. And he was very bummed. And I didn't even,
was he bent or
know,
what?
Yeah. And I didn't even know what I was racing for. I was just there because my dad was like, oh, just race, you know, have fun. Who cares? Just go have fun. So I didn't even know what Loretta Lynn's was. Didn't care at the time. And so yeah, I don't know. I want to say about 11 or 12, finally, I was like, something clicked. And I was like, I think this is what I want to do. Like, I think I want to race. And I don't know, maybe I was too young to know at the time. I don't really know what it was, but I think something clicked and I was like, yep, this is it. This sport is fun.
It's crazy, huh? How like at different times people will get into it based on a number of different variables. And you see even now, like there's 4 or 5, 6-year-old kids that are just like committed. They're all in. And sometimes you think like, oh, it's the parent. And then you talk to the kid and you're like, no, this kid wants it. And it's weird how at different ages, different things take. And for me, I started super young. My brother raced young too, but he never really got too motivated until he got older too. Right. And it was like, once it hit hard, but it was a little bit late. And it's just crazy how all the careers end up all matching up and end up in the pros together, but they all started at a different point.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I'm really glad and thankful that I ended up wanting to race, because like going to Loretta's or Mammoth, like as me and my brother RJ and my dad and my mom, we'd go as a family all the time. Like now I look back on those things, I'm like, dang, that was fun. Like we'll probably never go to Loretta's again unless maybe, if we decide later in life we want to go as race bet class or something like that. But I don't think we'll ever go as a family again like that. And I look back on that and I'm like, man, that was cool. And we had a motorhome and we'd go camp, and it was so much fun.
Was it pretty laid back for you guys then, as far as expectations and goals? Because you know how you see the kids now, and they're going to Loretta's to win every
Right.
moto, and then some go for the experience. So for you at that age, was it laid back and more family, being like a family trip being the goal, or were there results needed to be had?
So I think like the first couple years when I was young, we just went because we made it and we're like, oh, let's go experience it, and then yeah, after a couple years, my dad was like, all right, like if we didn't do good, he would get a little bummed out because he knows or thinks we could do much better, So I later on, I think I went to Loretta's eight times, I think. So like the last 3 or 4 years, me too, I was a little older, so like I wanted to do better, but it was so hard because there were some years where I just really didn't do good, and I think I would put too much pressure on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were some years where I would do really good. I got a couple thirds and second and fourth in the pro class there the last year I went, and so like that was cool. And we also had a great time, and all of our buddies were there, and it was super fun. But no, at first I don't really think my dad had any expectations, or me either, because the first couple times I didn't even know what it was. I was like, this is
just
cool.
just wanted to be
but
just wanted to be in the creek.
yeah, exactly.
I went this year with my son just to watch and hang out with his friends, and
yeah,
that creek, dude, he was in the creek more than he watched any of the racing.
Right,
I think that's why he went.
Yeah,
but I can imagine though, you start doing better, and all of a sudden you start knowing the names of everyone around you. And you're like, I kind of want to beat that dude.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what happened for me is once I clicked like this, I want to race. Then I started getting more competitive every time I'd get on the track, and so that leads into now, and I'm glad I decided I wanted to race.
Yeah, no kidding, right? You look back and you're like, man, where would I be right now if those few decisions didn't work out?
Yeah.
All right, so Loretta's, again, it progresses. You get some top threes. Your last year was pretty good. What was that transition like going into the official pro ranks, racing against guys that I have to imagine you looked up to? You thought these guys were stars, and now it's time to be on the gate with them. What was that like?
Right. So, I think I moved to the pro a little early. Like I wish I would have stayed amateur pro another year or two, but I went to Supercross, and the first one, obviously no expectations. I was like, man, I'm just going to go get my feet wet, have fun. And, I made the night show, and I got on the line for the heat race, and I'm looking down, and I'm like, well, this is probably the scariest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Like the fireworks are going off in opening ceremonies, and the floor is shaking. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like I'm used to being up in the stands and enjoying it, and I'm down there, my heart's racing, and then I line up, and I'm like, this is scary. And I think the first start I ever did, I think I was just so terrified. I was like sleeping on the gate, and I was like, I didn't even really care at that point. But it now it's like no feeling like you will never have that feeling,
It's crazy, right? And then for me, what was always cool is when you are in heat race number one, because the fireworks are going off, the national anthem is always making you nauseous, and you're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Then the gate goes down, dude, and the track's all like, it's so now some places you go to, this, there's a couple laps that might be a little slimy, but there's some tracks where lap one is just money.
Insane.
And you and the whole ground feels kind of like a little mushy.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of traction.
I love when you're heat one and you first lap can come into the whoops, and those things are going to be so fresh. And I love that. Yeah, there's really no feeling like that.
The worst feeling is when you go through the first heat race, the whoops are so good, but by the last lap, they're already getting a little chewed, and you're like, oh, the main's going to suck.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because you're like 6 minutes in, dude, I'm already hitting edges.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I hear you. I think that the worst one was Orlando Supercross this year, because the dirt was so hard, and then they didn't prep them for the heat race because they were so hard, and everyone came around the turn for the first lap in the heat, and everyone slammed on the brakes and like just doubled through them, and we were like, wow, this sucks. The main's going to be scary.
And those were big too, like not even just because that was your guys' first round. So they're obviously the first round's always, but that was one of the biggest sets I've seen in a couple of years. I remember watching, was that the one that did AC? Is that the one he went down in that one, or did he go the week before?
No, I'm pretty sure he crashed in those ones.
It was that one. It was that one, right? That track was brutal, and what a way to start the season, right? For me, it was like, I think 05. No, I forget the year. It might have been 05, but I remember one year Anaheim won. It was like, who built this for the opening round? They were so big, like the top dudes couldn't even get through them. And I mean, that was good for me because I was like, not that many guys are going through them, and I was good at jumping them. So I was stoked. But
I think we had a set like that maybe 2 or 3 years ago at Anaheim 2. I think they were saying like, oh, the Monster Jam people built these set of whoops, and they were like massive. They were like after the start, and they had to tame them down, because I think like Roxon and Baggett were the only ones that were like couldn't make it through them good, and then everyone else was like hit the first 3, and then they would start rolling through them. Those were terrifying. Those were probably the scariest I've ever seen.
Did you do how much arena cross did you do?
I actually liked arena cross. I did, I think, 3 years of arena cross, not like
consistently, but hit the ones.
Yeah.
So the whoops there were always so brutal. I mean, there was one year, I think it was in Milwaukee, where Bowers of all people had to go to the track crew and were like, dude, knock these down. This is ridiculous. Like, I don't know what they were thinking the night before. Like if they were, their vision was off, or if they were, maybe the after party was before the track build. I don't know, but Bowers was like, this is ridiculous. Put them down.
Wow. Right.
I was like, good, thank God. But
thank you.
Anyway, so anyways, you get into the pro ranks. Obviously there's that shock factor, right? I mean, I think everybody had it. When do you think you finally got over that enough to where you could race? Because does it feel like to you, like in those first couple, you weren't even racing? You were like there, but you weren't like racing people, and it took a little while, and then all of a sudden it clicked and you started like battling. You know, when did that happen for you?
I want to say probably 2 years ago in Supercross, when I rode the Hondas, and I got it. That was like the year that I was in A practice every round, and I would finally start taking off in front in practice, and just being up in front in practice. I think that helped a lot for when I got onto the heat race. I was like, okay, well, I've already been riding with these guys in practice. So, and the A practice, they throw that green flag to go down the first lap, and they're racing. They treat it like a race, So I think trying to take off first and being up there the first couple laps in that fight was like, okay, this is pretty much the race, So I think that helped a lot, is doing that. My dad would always tell me, come on, take off first. And I'd always be scared. And then finally, when I did it, I was like, okay, this is much better, because they hit the jumps first lap too.
Not only that, but they're moving faster. So for me, when I was in A practice too, I felt like I had an obligation to go fast, like don't get in their way. So almost like it forced me to like try harder, because I didn't want to piss them off. So,
exactly.
And then all of a sudden you look around and you're like, dude, I just held off a really good guy for 2 laps. Like, maybe I'm one of these guys now. And then all of a sudden you start racing them, right? And then you get in the race with them and you're like, oh, I'm cool with these guys. But so for you, that's when it finally took place, is when it was more of a rider thing, getting over the fact that these guys are human like you, because that was the same for me.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then just kind of being around the guys. I've had my own Supercross track for the last 4 years or so, and Christian Craig and McAdoo, they would always come out and ride with me, and then like we would ride, and then in between motos hang out and talk, and like, you start to realize, like you said, they are just a human like me. So, they're not out there to kill you or anything. They are friendly. So, I think that helped too, once you get to know some of them a little bit, and that also helps.
Yeah. For me, I had a mentor. It was Talon Boland. He was, prime. I mean, he was battling Ricky for the outdoor title, and he'd come right at my house, and having him with me and like do our motos, he'd be like, all right, we're going to do a 15. And on my own track, that's why he wanted to ride with me, because I was good at my house. and he was looking for places. So for that was a big step for me, was being comfortable battling with a guy who could battle Carmichael. It made me just believe like I was one of them. Even on the race days, I wasn't the same. It was still like the bridge kind of for me. So
yeah.
You got that same vibe then with McAdoo, Craig, those guys. Like once you ride with them, then you feel like might not be them, but I'm one of them in that pack.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like when they would come to my track, we would always do motos together. And, you know, obviously they're a little faster than me, obviously. So I would always start in front of them, and they're like, you know, don't let me by when I catch you, like, you know, let me pass you. Like, don't move over. So like that was cool too, is doing the motos with them, and then there'd be a lap where they're behind me the whole lap and pushing me, and then they get by me, and I tag along onto them and try to find their lines and the little speed that they have over me. So that's super fun too, is like doing motos with them, and kind of makes you feel like you're at the race, you know.
How about you and your bro? Do you guys have you guys spent a lot of time riding and battling together throughout the years?
Yeah, we ride together all the time, and honestly, it's funny. We do, like, we're competitive. So like even when we go to the practice track, it's like we come back from a moto, and RJ, I'll pull him sometimes, and he just is so mad. He's like, "How are you going faster than me? I don't understand." Like, you know, so yeah, he'll always get on in front of me in the moto, and it's fun because he doesn't let me by, you know. So I get mad too because I'm eating his roost for a few laps, and I'm like, oh, this is annoying. I'm pulling tear offs, but it's fun. Yeah, we get along really well. We have a great relationship, and so we road bike together, and we hang out and we ride together. So I think that's good for us because we have a good relationship. So it's super fun.
My brother and I, same thing, good relationship, except for like racing local, like at a local level, he was the enemy for me. So like we go to a Supercross, dude, and I'm like, I do anything to help him, whatever. You go to a local race, I couldn't even pit by him. We would have to separate vehicles. It was bad because it was for money, and it was, you know,
right,
$1,500 at Los Banos to win, or $500 for second. Like I will T-bone him. So I imagine you guys have the same relationship, right? Like it's all good, but at the practice track, dude, we might fist fight if it don't work out.
Right. Yeah. Now we go to like local races, you know, money races, and it gets ugly sometimes, but not too bad. Like we'll rub each other, but I don't think we would ever really slam each other, you know. I mean, we're pretty nice to each other too. If we come up and he knows or I know we're holding one another up for more than a lap, we'll kind of move out of the way a little bit for, you know, we're our brothers at the end of the day. So we are nice sometimes with each other, but we'll come back to the pit after and we'll get into it a little bit.
Have a word or two.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's one of those, hey, you're buying dinner tonight, dude.
That's right. That's right. And when money's on the line, it gets more competitive. So I remember a few years back on Race Day Live, this is when I was working with Jim Hawley. Right. And he just loved you guys, dude. He loved you and your brother, always did. Kind of take me through that history and that relationship, because Jim loves everybody. I mean, you know, Jim is the best, but he really loved you guys. So is there like a history, a relationship there? Because he's super fond of you guys.
Yeah. So him and my dad were super close, and they always rode together. They grew up, I think they grew up like 10 minutes from each other. So they were really good friends when they were young, and before they were pro and they were amateur, they would always go to the races together. And so they had a really good relationship. So he was always around when we were young. And so I think that helped a little bit. We were always with him. So he always gave us a little love on the show.
It's funny, dude. Uncle Jim, right? I mean, I always call him that. I call him Uncle Jim. And I've had people ask me, like, is he really your uncle? And he's like everyone's uncle. Like everyone loves Uncle Jim. But for me, it was the same thing. It was growing up racing like these money races that he would put on, and he would promote like up in Reno or up in Red Bluff. So I mean, it's Jim Hawley, like the legend, but it's also Jim Hawley, like the guy I knew as a kid. So I knew you guys had to have something, because he loved you guys all the way through. So
yeah, we love Jim.
Oh, Uncle Jim. But how about your brother? What's he got going on this year? What's his deal?
He's been riding a little bit right now, and then I think he's actually gonna start riding some Supercross. He's pretty excited that he got number 99. He's pumped. He's like, he got that number when we first seen it. He was screaming. He was like, I'm 99 for life. I'm never changing my number ever again. This is it. So he didn't really have any plans to race Supercross this year. And then once he got the number, he kind of pumped him up a little bit. He's like, I think I'm just gonna, ride a 450 and do the local West Coast round and just have fun. So He's been working a little bit.
Does he know it's not permanent? He doesn't get to keep 99.
Right, exactly. But he said he is 99 for life now. Even if he doesn't get a number again, he's 99.
Do you remember Topher Ingles?
Yeah.
Topher Ingles. He did the same thing. He got number 99. I think the second year pro. I forget which year it was, and it was the same thing with him. He's like, "This is my number. People can borrow it from here on out, but this is me for life." So,
right.
Him and your bro might have to work that out because they both think it's theirs. So that's cool. So he'll do 450 then. Now, where is he practicing with you at Grindstone, or is he back at your place?
Yeah, he's back at home. So, but I think he's gonna come down and ride with us during the week and stuff at Elsinore and Paula's open Supercross track. So he'll come down and ride with us.
So explain that to a lot of the people listening in, just the SoCal scene, because pretty much from mid-October through, I guess through it all, it's just madness, right? You got State Fair's got their track, Elsinore's got theirs. They're popping up all over. So for you, what's your schedule look like then? Are you focused on the one place right now, or are you trying to bounce around and hit a little bit of everything?
Yeah, I bounce around and hit a little bit of everything. It's nice to ride other tracks, and yeah, it is pretty hectic out here in SoCal though. This is the hub, so we go to Elsinore one day to Supercross, and there's 25, 30 dudes on the Supercross track, and so track gets beat, worn down, which is good because then you're doing your 15-minute moto at the end of the day, and it's like a main event, like actually. But yeah, so it's the hub, so there's a lot of people. I like to bounce around at different tracks just so that way, because like State Fair is super tight and close, and Elsinore is a little more open. So to ride at different tracks, I think that helps too,
I like what you said too about when to ride too, because I had a problem with that early in my career where I just wanted good tracks all the time. And then I'd get to the second half of a main event and I wouldn't know what to do. And I had to change that up later in my career where I wanted the track beat. If someone went out with a shovel, I'd be like, no, leave it. Yeah. We need to trash it. Explain to everybody watching, like what you actually deal with from the first 5 minutes of a main event to the last 5. It's not the same track at all.
No, not the same track at all. Because right before the main event, obviously they fix a few turns and a little bit, but by lap 4, the turn's destroyed, and it always gets a rut at the top, and then it keeps going down and down and down, and then they get choppy, and every lap is different. You could hit one rut that lap and be like, that rut was sick. And you come around the next lap and it's either gone or it has a hook or something. And especially the whoops they get beat and cupped and square edged and ruddy from lap 1. They could be okay. They could have a good line, and then you can go and hit the same exact line the next lap, and it's totally different and not good.
It's crazy too, because as a racer, you just want consistency, yet you're riding a track that's always changing. So, exactly. And I'll give you a little secret right now that hopefully none of the racers are listening right now. You'll have the upper hand. You know how the first rut always forms at the top?
Yeah.
And then everyone starts working their way down?
Uh-huh.
On that first rut.
It's not that one bad. Always stays the best.
As soon as it even gets a rut, everyone freaks out and starts coming down. I did a track report a couple of years ago where I was like, let me go look at this corner. And the top rut was absolutely perfect. And this is like late into the night. And dude, I'm like, I don't know why they keep coming down low. The top rut is perfect, dude. So keep an eye on that top rut. It's usually pretty good halfway through.
Yeah, I did Salt Lake 1 this year in the 450 class. And I remember I was in deep practice, obviously, in the 450. So there 4 practices before me, I think. 3 or 4. Yeah, so the track was already pretty hammered. And I remember this one right-hand turn, I was struggling, and there was already 3 or 4 ruts in that turn. And I remember like lap 4, I was like, screw it, I'm going to the top. And I hit the top rut, and I was like, that was money. And I literally just hit the top rut every single lap. And I ended up having the fastest lap time actually of that practice. I was like, could have been that corner.
It's the A guys' fault. They're the ones that do it. So if you're in 450B, keep an eye out for that top rut. It's usually pretty dang good.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to steer this off course a little bit and talk outside of racing, even though it's kind of combined. But I'm an entrepreneur, so I admire anybody who gets in the game and tries to create something.
Yep.
Tell me about our jerky, dude. Like, great idea, great concept. I've eaten it. I was at Pulp MX. Whenever I'm there, he usually has some. But
yep.
just what, how? Like, I mean, people ask me the same thing. Like, how'd you start a soap business? And it's like the weirdest story ever. But how did you start a beef jerky business?
So my dad's owned a motorcycle shop for 22 or 4 years or something. And he always had this, one of his buddies, that's what he does, is he has a beef jerky company. So he would always hound me and my brother for probably 3 years or so, like, come on, I want to help you guys racing, but I don't want to just help you. Like, let's do beef jerky together so you guys can sell it and it can help fund your racing. And for like a couple of years, we're like, that's kind of a dumb idea. I don't really think anyone's going to buy beef jerky that has a picture of us riding on the bag, you know? And he kept hounding us. So we're like, okay, you know what, we'll do it. And we actually started doing it, and it was really good. And everyone seemed to like it. And it kind of took off right at first. And it's actually pretty cool because it, like, we did Paula and Hangtown this year, and it funded our, like, we had fuel for our motorhome. Like, it kind of funded our program, you know? So like, it's cool to have something like that and to do it. And it's actually a pretty good idea. So
great.
Yeah. And it teaches us a lot about business. So that's also a really big positive out of it.
What about when it comes to taste? Because like when it comes to food, you know, there's no such thing as a great, good, or bad food. Everyone's opinion's different. I mean, there's people out there that like McDonald's.
Right.
I don't, but some people do. So when it comes to a food, like, how do you nail a food to be good for the majority of people who try it? Like, I mean, how does that even happen?
Yeah, it is hard. Luckily for us, the guy that has the beef jerky company, he has a lot of flavors. So we'll get like, we'll get a big box with like, have you seen our sample packs? Like,
oh yeah.
So we'll get a big box of like a whole bunch of different flavors, and we'll just hand a bunch out to our friends or whoever that lives around us. And if everyone likes these 3 or 4 flavors, and we're like, okay, we're going to go with this, you know? We had this one flavor for a while and it just would not sell. So finally we got rid of it, but we have 6 flavors now and they all sell really good. So we kind of have stuck with that for now. Now we've just been kind of changing the labels up on the packages because it's hard. Obviously it's for our racing, you know, so we want to have like a picture of us riding on it, but at some same time, me and RJ discussed, we're like, you know, maybe we should do something different as the label. And we're like, well, maybe people might not like that as much because they are buying it thinking they're helping us race, you know, and if it's kind of something completely different, they're like, well, is it helping you guys or is it not helping you guys, you know? So that's right. Where it gets a little tough for us, and we're like, we sit down and talk and we're trying to figure it out, and we're like, well, maybe we just keep pictures of us riding on it. So we try to update the pictures every 6 months. So
your bro, he's gonna want some 99s on there then, right? He ain't gonna let no old photos.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, he probably, the day that came out, he's like, updating the label. All right, we are changing it. I need that 99 on there.
Exactly.
And then for you, are you number 69 again?
I am.
How many points did you have this year compared to the year before?
I'm not sure. I actually didn't look, but I know like going into Fox, I was like mid 80s or something like that. And I was like, dang, that's going to suck. My number goes way down, you know? And then I think I went like 16, 13 or something at Fox.
Made a big leap.
Yeah. And then I think Chris Elliott from my team, he came to Hangtown. He's like, I think you only need like 12 or 14 points or something to get 69 again. And I was like, no way. And he's like, I think we could do it. I was like, I don't know, dude, those are some tall orders. And then I ended up getting 2 really good starts at Hangtown. And I got 12th in the first moto. And then the second moto, I think I was running like 6th for a while, actually. Like, I was all by myself. And then Bogle caught me, and I can't remember who else caught me and passed me, but I went 12-9, and like, yeah, the odds of that happening are like literally slim to nothing. So,
well, yeah, especially in the moment, right? Like if you're trying to do the math, I'm surprised someone's on the pit board, like, let one more buy. Let him buy.
Yeah,
you're right. Like, hell no, I'm in 9th.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was actually thinking about it too during the moto at Hangtown, the second moto. I was like, dang, if I get 68 or 70, I was like, I'm going to be kind of bummed.
Man, Could you imagine missing by one? But I mean, it just doesn't happen often that you go back to back. I mean, unless you're like 29 or you know what I mean? Because there's so many permanents. If you're like Christian Craig and you're going to be knocking out 28, 29-ish, but whatever. But to be in the 60s and be able to back it up 2 years in a row, that's dude, that's hey, you just tell everybody you're just great at marketing and branding. That's all. You're just great at marketing and branding.
Right, exactly.
Speaking of marketing and branding, your team, Chris, we'll get into Ryan Clark in a second. I got some things I want to say about Ryan Clark. I'm sure he's said bad things about me to you, about my diet. But we'll get to that. But Chris, dude, he's on it when it comes to thinking outside the box, being creative. I mean, obviously when you're sponsored by a record label, you have the world is, I mean, there's so many options of what you can do graphics wise and stuff. But I mean, what's it like for you being the rider on a team that's just thinking outside the box all the time and looking for creative ways to get your team in front of the cameras more? Because I mean, I think he crushes it at that.
Yeah, he does. He has some really good ideas, and it's super cool when what he does with the graphics and the plastics, and he matches it with the gear. And it's actually pretty cool for me too, because I come into the weekend and I have no idea. Like, he doesn't tell me anything, and I show up and I'm like, dang, this thing looks sweet. And then he shows me the gear and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like, I don't know how you thought of that or what made you even think about doing that, but hey, props to you, because that's pretty cool. And yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
Now, and that's only one side of it too, because if you're going to be like a private team, number one, you've got to have riders that get results, and dude, you're starting to knock out these results for them, which is great. But you got to be able to kind of like get attention in other ways too. So I feel like on that half, he's crushing it. But on the performance side, the bike's getting better, the team's getting better. Ryan, in all honesty, is very smart. I've always respected him so much. But I mean, how's the program been for you now that you are with it? And I mean, it seems like a building process that's going well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The first year the bike was really good. It has always been great, and I love it. So, but yeah, we've been building every single year. And we've just been getting a little better each weekend. And Ryan, you know, and Chris and my mechanic Eric, they're all super supportive. So like, if we have a little bit of a bad weekend and I'm bummed, Ryan's always like, hey dude, you're walking, you got next weekend, like, just do better next weekend, you know? And so that's pretty cool. And the bike is amazing. I really I don't have any negative things to say about it. Especially my mechanic, he keeps it dialed all the time. But yeah, just everyone that involved in the team, like Yamaha stepped up big this year, and Jim over there, they're all taking really good care of us. So that's awesome. Yeah, my motor's strong. Race Tech does the engine. So we have a good group, and we have all the tools to progress even more this year. So we're gonna.
Who's your teammate this year?
Ryan Surratt.
Oh, awesome! He had a good summer too. Really good summer. Exactly. What number does he have?
58.
Dang, that's good. All right, I was saying he put in a really good summer. Yeah, I think he did. Did he do all of them or most of them? Right?
I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did all of them. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. So two of you, good numbers. Team's progressing. Again, Ryan. I mean, what's it been like to work with him? I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. For me, he was still racing when I didn't ride for him. I ended up not being able to. A long story, but I was going to race for the team, and he was still riding at that time. So me and him got to ride together, train together as he moved from New Mexico and started coming west. But what's it been like to work with Ryan? To me, always a super intelligent guy, thinks outside the box as well. What's it been like?
It's awesome. The first year, I really obviously didn't know what to expect. I didn't really know him much. I talked to him on the phone every now and then. And then once I met him, it was like, we like connected. I don't know. It was really weird. Like he's like family now. I love that guy. So it's super cool. Like when he would come to the track, and he actually still suits up sometimes and rides. Like it's pretty cool. He'll bring one of the other bikes, and when I had my track, he would come out and we'd spend, you know, the weekend and ride together. And one of my weaknesses was the whoops, and he would smash the whoop. So he would always we would do our motos, and then at the end of the day he would suit up and we would hit the whoop side by side, and he was like, until you're a bike length ahead of me, we're not getting undressed, we're not going home. And so it was pretty cool, and he would help me, and he had a lot of good pointers to say. So it's been super fun working with him, and it's pretty cool because I don't know there's many people that can ride with their team owner at the practice track and on Supercross. So
that's wild.
But he's still got competitive side to him. We always bet money sometimes. We'll do like a 1-lap sprint, and if I pass him, then he has to pay me, or if I can't pass him, then I got to pay him. But
that's awesome.
Cool.
Keeps it fun. What about who's in charge of your diet? Is it you or him? Because if it's him, he's strict.
Yeah. So no, it's me. I've always been pretty good with my diet, but now I have Carrie Shearer at Grindstone. She has me on the program. So yeah, I just like, my diet's never been that bad, but I will say it was never that great, I guess. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to take that next step and just be a little bit more mentally stronger when I go to the line, knowing that I'm eating healthy and I'm putting the right foods and stuff in my body to be one of the best.
Yeah, that's awesome. What was the best result last year again? I know that opening round was
9.
Opening round?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's what I thought. I knew the opening round was a good one. I mean, as we move into 2022, what are the goals? I mean, is it a number position? Is it just to progress? Because the East and West always changes. You don't even know who you're going to be racing with. So
right.
Is it really? Can you put a number on where you want to be yet, or is it a wait and see?
I want to be like consecutive top 10s this year. I know we can do that, and I think if I can get good starts every weekend, maybe I can progress and even be 5th or 6th or 7th. I just want to start up front, and whatever the few top guys, they pass me, great. I try to latch on to them. It spreads out. You never know what can happen. Someone can tip over or something. But yeah, I want to be consecutive top 10s this year and really just get good starts and put myself up there. Because even at the first round last year for us, I started, I think, like 12th or something. So if I could have started 9th and been 9th the first lap, I think it was Chris Bloss was in 8th, and by the last lap I was right on his rear tires. I'm like, man, if I could have just started 9th, maybe I could have got around him halfway through the moto or something, So just those little things that I think about. I'm like, man, I really want to start up front and I want to be up front with the front guys.
Yeah, and make it more regular, right? Because when you do it, you're like, this isn't so bad. That's how it always was for me. Is you'd get up there and you're like, I don't know why I was so worried about this. This is actually way easier.
Yeah.
Than battling in 15. I don't know about you, but battling in round like 13th to 15th is scary.
It is. Yeah, because everyone,
the top guys they're a little better.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like I remember at Salt Lake 1 this year in the 450 class in the heat race. I think I came out like 4th or something. I don't know. I was right behind Savacci going down the second rhythm, and I was like, holy crap, dude. I got Roxon right next to me, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of scary. Especially in the 450 class too. And I was a little scared for that, I'm not gonna lie. I was nervous, but
how could you not be, dude? Right?
Yeah.
The baddest dudes in the world.
Yeah, like me and Roxon were pretty good friends, and even still he was right next to me, and I was like, I don't even know what to do. Like I know him, but I don't want to mess him up,
Right. It's funny how that works, right? Your concern wasn't with you, it was with don't mess him up.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, and it sucks because you're not supposed to think that way, but how can you not when it's like your first time up there with that? You're like, how are you supposed to not think that way?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. I got taken out by Stewart once at Hangtown, and he took us both out. And I apologized to him, and he took me out.
No way.
Oh, he drilled me. We both. I was like, sorry, and then he rode off, and I'm like, wait a minute, he just drilled me. I didn't do anything wrong, but it was like that automatic
you had to apologize.
Hot lap, and I screwed it up, so I apologized to him for that. But it's funny how that works. As soon as you get over it, then next thing you know, you'll be slamming him in corners, and then he'll be like, whoa, wait a minute, but.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, right on, man. Well, hey, thanks for coming on Beyond the Track. My final question to you is long-term goals. Like what? I mean, everybody's chasing something. What are you chasing now that you're in this thing? You're having good success. You're doing good. You're loving it. You got a great team. What are you chasing here in Supercross?
I just want to be better every weekend, and long-term, obviously, I want to progress every weekend, every year. Obviously, I want to win races and be on the podium, and that's what I want. So that's kind of why this year I'm kind of putting my foot down more of. That's why I'm living here at Grindstone full time and training every single day and riding at different tracks and putting the right food in my body, because I do want to, and I believe that I can be I could fight for wins, podiums, maybe not this year, but within the next year or two. I want to be progress onto a bigger team or whatever it is. Even this year, if I could get a fill-in ride or something, and you know how it is, we want to win. Everyone wants to win, so that's my goal for the next couple of years. Is just this year I want to be consecutive top 10s up front, running up front with all the guys, and being more comfortable being up there.
Yep.
Like this year, I'd get a good start and I would screw up in the second turn and then mess up the rhythm, and then 5 guys would go by me. I'm just like, well, I'm nervous or something, So
Right.
I want to be up there more often, to where I'm every obstacle first lap, I'm hitting it and staying up there in the front. So
right on. I love it. Keep chipping away too, because a lot of people, like said, try to make it too big of a leap. And
Right.
that's when you ride over your head. You're not thinking, and you're just being desperate. Like, just keep chipping away, man. Because what it sounds like is that you're building a base, and then you take another step, build a base,
Yep.
take another step. And that's the name of the game, dude. No, people don't have a long-term plan with this thing. They just go for it, and that doesn't work. So I love what you're doing, dude. Keep chipping away.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just chipping away and just trying to be a little better than I was the weekend before. And if I got a 5th place start, maybe next time I'll get a 4th place start. I don't know. I want to just be just a little better each time. Even at the practice track, if I have a bad rhythm that day at that track or something, just one section, the next time I go there, I want to be just a little better in that rhythm. I try not to let it bother me during the day, even at at the Supercross, if I'm struggling in a turn or the whoop section. I try not to let it bother me too much and get in my head too much, because then I've had that happen before. Then you kind of get screwed up on the whole track, because you're just, how it is. If you're thinking about that one section on the track, you're thinking about it the whole lap, and then you mess up in 3 other parts of the track. So
you mess up 99% of the track because 1% didn't go well.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's human nature, though, man.
Yep.
So stay on it, dude. Keep chipping away. And I look forward to seeing you in the top 10 more than not in 2022.
Right.
How about that?
I appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for having
All right,
me.
bro. Enjoy the next month. I'll see you soon.
Right on. Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.